Baie dankie aan almal wat ingeskakel het. Thank you everyone that is joining us in this Cellfone event of us. You can see the first slide. Those are the two images that won the best images of April. In the Cellfone category, we don't distinguish between junior and senior. We just choose select the best image in open and the best image in theme. The theme was the color yellow, and then you can see there the nice picture of Peter from the Kalahari. Okay, we can go to the next one. Nick.
Weer eens makkelijker gezien als we daar naar willen. Ja. Ai. Slideshow. Ai. Het zo higher van negatief.
Okay, while he's looking for that, our next club evening is on the 17th of June. 7de Junie, en die thema is enige chrome foto van jou keuse, any chrome image of your choice, monochrome. And then our next Cellfone evening is the 28th of June. Vervoer, die thema is vervoer, transport. The mini-series and the AV competition is closing on the 21st, just to give the people some more time. See, we've been working hard on the AVs. And then, baie dankie aan Jacques. Thank you, Jacques, for joining and helping us with Vliegtuigfotografie, plane, to get the technique right, to take the right pictures for the jets and then the prop aeroplanes. After that, Nick will start with the judging of the images. The theme is Dankie met 'n uitsig. Now, when we do that, when we judge the images, Nick will give everybody will see a little score sheet coming up on their screen, and you just make a choice of your what point you want to give the image. Nick will then accumulate the points and give the average, and that average will then be the score for the image. And at the end, then we will choose together. We'll choose the best image for open and the best image for the theme. So ek dink dis dan dit. So vir Nick vra en Jacques om aan te gaan. Jacques, thank you very much for devoting some of your time to us.
I'll say, okay, Jacques, I'm going to stop sharing and then you can proceed. I've stopped sharing.
Unmute. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes, thank you. We see it.
Yes, we can. Thanks.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, everyone, for giving me the opportunity to present aviation photography. My name is Jacques Blignaut. Just a little bit background from my side. I started photography about when I was 7 years old. My dad bought me a little Kodak Mick and Rick, and that's where everything started. And as time goes on, I upgraded my equipment, and at about when I was about 16 years old, I bought my first SLR camera. I joined my first camera club in the Van der Bijl Park Photographic Society in about 1994, and I was a member there for about 7 years, and then I moved over to Joburg. And for a couple of years, I didn't take any pictures because that stage photos went from slides to digital, and only in about 2008, I bought my first digital camera. But I didn't join a club then. Only in about 2016, I joined the Randburg Photo Club, where I'm a member now, and I'm still a member there. And I'm also the chairman of the Randburg Photo Club. All right, just to, just gonna get this thing out of the way, that's it. Okay, just some introduction. My favorite genre is wildlife photography, but one of my biggest challenges was that I couldn't get to the park enough. And we'll go for a week here and a week there. Normally, with my luck, I used to bring all the clouds in the country with me, and rain, and the opportunities wasn't the greatest. So I had to find something different for me to do. And a friend of mine invited me in 2018 to an aviation show. Wasn't very keen in the beginning, but when I got there, I really, really enjoyed it. So, and that's what the talk is all about tonight. Now, aviation photography is the fast-growing community. There's more and more photographer that's discovering that it's not only challenging, but it's also a lot of fun. And it requires really very little gear. It's for me, it's simple, a combination of wildlife and landscape photography, where the plane is the wildlife, the rest of the photo is landscape, and when you combine the two, you come up with aviation photography. So there's three major different types of aviation photography. The first one is ground to ground. Then you get air to air, and then you get ground to air. Now, this is an example of a ground to ground photograph, and the definition of a ground to ground is when the airplane is on the ground or moving slowly on the tarmac, or in a hangar, or just standing in the airport where you can take a picture. So this is a great example of a ground to ground. The next one is air to air, and unfortunately not everybody's get the chance to do air to air, and I'm unfortunately one of them. So I borrowed this picture with his permission. This guy's name is Justin Derake. He's the official photographer for the Silver Falcons, and it's one of his shoots that he did with them in Cape Town. And the last one is the ground to air, and that's what most of us can do, and let's go to an air show and take pictures of all types of airplanes flying around. You can of course go to the airport as well, but it's not as fun because the airplanes land and take off, and you don't really get great opportunities to take pictures there. All right, now the question is the gear. What type of gear do one need to take aviation photographs? Cameras, any camera can do. If you've got a Nikon, a Canon, Pentax, Fuji, Sony, crop sensor, full frame, and what's the other one, mirrorless, can take pictures. It's not restricted to any type of camera. Lenses, there's three types of lenses that you can use. Wide angle, 12 to 24, plus minus example. We take pictures of ground to ground when you can get quite close to your aircrafts. Ideally the 150 to 500. But even a 300 will be sufficient. And I've seen people even taking good pictures with a 200 as well. What is very important is memories and batteries. That is the utmost important thing when you go to an air show. You can easily take about 1,000 to 3,000 pictures. My first show, when I ever went to, I took almost 3,000 pictures. And I actually ran out of memory cards. I had to borrow from the people around me, and even my batteries went flat. I had 4 batteries and it went flat. And luckily, at that stage, I used the Pentax, and a guy next to me borrowed me his Pentax battery for the last half an hour of the show. So it's very, very important that you have enough memories. You don't want to have to be in the middle of the show and then suddenly you don't have any more memory cards or battery. Tripods is not a great idea. It restricts you quite a lot. The planes are moving so fast above you, around you, and you just can't get to the planes quite quick enough. So a tripod, you can try it if you want to. I've tried it. It does not work at all for me. And you also see people bringing tripods with, and later they put them away. Even monopods, it's slightly better, it's more manageable, but it also restricts you quite a bit. Then you get 3 major types of aircrafts at an air show. You get your prop planes, helicopters, and jets. So let's go through a couple of these differences. You've got your jets. There are no moving parts, that's very important. They are very fast, and they are very, very noisy. Now, if you look at this, is a picture of a jet, and as you can see, no moving parts. So it's very difficult to get that movement and motion aid. At the back, there's a little bit of afterburn, but you can't see much. There's some movement in the background, but not enough. It does give you the feeling that the plane is just falling out of the air. Where this one is a little bit better, there's a lot of afterburn. You can see it nicely in the trees as well. Also slight movement in the trees. So this is a better composition for the jet. So and these things, this one was just about to land, and if these things fly past you, they move with quite a speed. And then your types of your prop planes. Very important for prop planes is not to freeze the propellers. A lot of professionals prefer the full perfect prop circle, but any amount of blur, or almost any amount of blur, will give you a sense of motion. I prefer not a full circle, but I still want to see the movement and some of the props. But you need to find your own style, what you enjoy, and therefore always check your preview when you take pictures of airplanes. Now this is little Annie. As you can see here, the props are completely frozen. There was, and it always happens after when you take pictures when it's from jets, and suddenly it goes over to prop planes, and then you forget to change your shutter speed, and you get this prop that is frozen. As you can see, it actually looks like this airplane is falling out of the air. The next one of Annie, you can see nice prop movement, and it gives you that feeling of the plane is actually moving forward. And as you can see, I don't do the full circle. I just do that. You can still see there's gaps, but there is movements in the props. And then of course your helicopters. The same principle, do not freeze the propellers, but the challenge here is that the rotor blades turns much slower than the airplane's propellers. And the reason for that, they are much larger and they don't rotate at such high RPM. And it will be almost impossible to get a full disc from, you can, but it's going to be very, very, your shutter speed is going to be very, very low, and then the chances that you'll get a blurred photo is almost guaranteed. Again, check your preview to see if the movement there's enough movement in the planes. Again, this photo was taken just after jets. As you can see, almost no movement in the blades. Even the back rotors is frozen, and it actually looks like this plane is helicopters going down crashing into the ground. Where you find this picture, there's a lot of movement in the blades, and that gives you the movement going forward. Even the back rotors are a full disc on this one. All right, so some of the camera settings. If you start off with aviation photography, I would suggest that you start with shutter priority, where you can then set your shutter speed. And yes, the different shutter speeds that you can use for different aircraft. Your prop planes, 160 to 320th. So if you start with 320 and work yourself down to 60th to see which one works for you best. The 60th is normally your best for a full disc. I like to take my pictures at about 250, depends on the type of plane, but normally about 250. Helicopters, 30th to 100th of a second. Also depends on if the helicopter is hovering, then you'll drop down to about 60. If it's flying, I use normally about 100th of a second. And jets, ideally not slower than 100th of a second. As I said, these planes are moving at quite a speed, and you need to try to, because there's no moving objects, you can shoot it at thousands to make sure that your airplane is in focus. If you put your camera on shutter priority, the aperture will then will change, of course, depending on your shutter speed, and if your ISO is on 100. So my settings, after a couple of years of taking airshow pictures, I put my camera on manual. Depending on the aircraft, say we're doing prop planes, I'll do it at 250 seconds, f8, and the ISO then moves around to get the correct exposure. Just some more camera settings, metering mode. That's if you would like to do it, but I would suggest, especially when you take aircrafts again, grey skies, or with some backlighting, to put your camera on spot metering, so that it takes the reading off the plane. Otherwise, you'll get this dark photo and of the plane, and the background is nicely exposed, but the plane is underexposed, and it's very difficult to get the detail back into the airplane. So I'd rather work on the sky later on than the airplane. You can still change a little bit on the compensation. I normally do it at about 2/3 of a second. I go down about 2/3 of 2/3. But also again, if it starts getting dark, you need to move it up to 0. You can also get that your plane gets too dark, and it's also difficult to get the detail back in it. Drive mode, always shoot, continuous shooting. And the reason for that, you don't want to press the button every time you take a picture, because you lose time. If an airplane flies past you, they're moving quite fast, and to try to take a picture one at a time, the chances are very good that you'll miss something. So continuous shooting, you most probably take, depending on the speed of your camera, between 4 to 10 frames a second. Autofocus, also put it on continuous servo for the Nikon guys, AI servo for the Canons, and AFC for the Pentax guys. You also don't want to try to focus every time. The camera must do all the work, because there's no time for you to get the focus at the every time pressing the button, try to focus. So always keep it on continuous focusing as well. And then the big question is, do I take my pictures at JPEG or RAW? Well, it depends on yourself and how much space you've got available, but I normally take all my pictures in RAW, so you can do so much more after the air show. Just some pictures that I took with the different speeds. As you can see here, I took this one at 60th of a second, and this is an absolutely beautiful full disc. As I said earlier, I don't particularly like the full disc, but this was actually worked so well. So, you know, it's up to you. Play around and see what you like. This is taken it on 100th of a second. As you can see, the blades start breaking up. Still a lot of movement in the blades. So I like that as well. And as I said earlier as well, I like to take it at 250. Still a lot of movements in the blades. Helps you a little bit more to keep your photos in focus. So for me, ideally, I enjoy 250. And even if you start off with 320, as you can see, there's still a lot of movement in there, and your chances to have a sharp picture is even better. But sometimes you get this photo where you take a picture of a helicopter and an airplane in the same frame. The airplane's props is nicely movement, but of course there's almost no movement in the helicopter. Slight movement, and at the back rotor there's slight movement as well. This photo has got a COM at club level, and I got 3 salons of it. So at least there was some movement then. I think people appreciate the 2 different types of aircrafts in this picture. Just on the helicopters. The helicopters is quite a challenging thing to take pictures of, because while the rotor is moving up, you can see the helicopter is also doing that. So you get a lot of side movement that you actually don't see with your eye. So if you go too low with your shutter speed, you'll pick up the movement. And so for me, I'd always try to at least 60th. I don't go ever lower than 60th of a second. And as you can see, nice movement in the blades. And this was taken on 100th of a second. And these helicopters are the main ones that you normally get the problem with the movement. But if you get the right angle, you can still, even the back blades are on 100th is full disc, and you still see the blades, movement in the blades. All right, so what to look for when you're at the show? Colors, as we all know, colors does things for with photos. So look for the planes that's got nice colors. The Silver Falcons has got nice colors. It's quite a difficult airplane to take pictures of, but it's got these nice green, yellow, red, blue colors and white, and even all the pilots wear red helmets. Make use of smoke. I've used this smoke to frame the picture, to frame this planes. They were moving into this space in here, and it just keeps them nice and framed. Because there's so much smoke going around, as you can see in the background on this photo. There's a lot of smoke, and then you've got these 4 interleading smoke lines with these planes coming in. And that's one of my best performing aviation photos. I got a 2nd place at one of the salons with this one, and this photo is not altered at all. As I took it, this is how I presented for the salon. So I'm quite proud of this photo. Jets, late evening, there's a lot of air. You can see the afterburner quite well, and especially when they fly and they make a turn and they fly away from you, you can see the afterburner clearly. So that's, always look out for that. And unfortunately, airplanes, they don't let you know when they're going to shoot flares. So be ready for flares. As the flares come out, you have to be ready. I think I took 2 pictures of this. I was busy going through some of my photos, and next moment this thing was shooting flares. So I was able to at least take 2 pictures. Make use of the clouds. Actually, what I like about this photo, it won't do well at salons, clubs. I've never entered there, but I just like this picture. It actually looks like I've been in another plane. It looks like an air-to-air picture. So I like this. Make use of the background. change your pictures to black and white, because you're taking pictures for yourself. And as I said, I like this picture, even this one as well. There's some backlighting at the back. As I mentioned earlier, use your spot meter, and the airplanes was lit nicely and with a nice background as well. As this photo as well won't do anything at club or salons, but I really enjoy that. Now, sometimes the airplanes will come sit in front of you, making a lot of noise and a lot of smoke. Make use of that, take some of those pictures. This one standing in front of me, I took a couple of pictures of the engine. I specifically use a higher shutter speed so I can see a bit of the engine. Make use of the clouds at the background. If you look at this picture and there was no clouds, it would not have been the same. It's just got a little bit more impact with the clouds. Make use of angles. If you think, these was old warplanes, and if one of these fly to you like this, it actually get the feeling that it's, they're going to attack you, and it just gives a different dimension in the picture. Look for interaction between the planes. There's always action going on, mini wars and those type of things. And it's without warning. You just take pictures of these 4 planes, and next moment a plane comes from the opposite side. They try to create this impression that this plane was flying in the middle of these 4 planes, but it was actually behind it. But it gives you that idea that it's flying between these 4 planes. There's also unusual things that happen. Keep an eye on it. It's not just about the aerobics. It's also about other stuff. Sometimes there's legends on the airfields, and it's just for my records. First time I've ever seen one of these airplanes in live, so it's just for my records. A little Bertie, old vintage plane. I just created this vintage look with this scarf hanging out there. I've never entered it into any club, and I don't think I will. I don't think it will do well, but I just like the feel of this picture. And it's also not just about aircrafts. Sometimes there's some parachutes, with nice colored parachutes, and these red flares that they use. Sometimes there's little wars going on, a mini war that they do, and there's a lot of planes flying around. You don't know where to take pictures. It's jets and helicopters and ambulances and fighting and shooting and bombing. And so it's not a plane that crashed there. It's just one of the bombs that was activated. A lot of dogs barking, quite excited. You don't know where to take pictures, but it happens so quickly, but be prepared. Look everywhere for some action. And of course, it's an air show, things can happen. It's not my photo. It's a guy from PE that borrowed this for me as well. And they were busy taking pictures, and this aircraft's wheels didn't extract, and he had to do an emergency landing on the grass. And I think the airplane wasn't damaged too badly, so it was up and running after that, after this air show. Also, just look around your surroundings. Just don't look in front where the airplanes are flying. I was standing here, and next moment I turned around and I saw these planes flying past the tower. Makes for an interesting photograph. Again, don't think it will do anything at club level or salon, but most probably if you frame it and you give it to the guys at the tower, they will appreciate it. But it's quite a nice moody picture. And of course, the golden hour makes the colors so much nicer, but we don't always have the opportunity. But if you do get it, and that's why you need to stay till the end of the show, that you can get those last hours and make use of the golden hour. And then sometimes that specific plane just went around and came back the other side with some backlighting. And as you can see, my shutter speed was too high, so I won't be able to enter this into any competitions. Well, I did my A panel a couple of years ago on aviation photography. So I just want to share some of my photos that of my panel. As you can see with this airplane taking off, nice afterburner, some interaction with the planes here. Make use of a lot of smoke, some clouds in the background, smoke again. Now this was quite interesting. This was taken at about 6 o'clock at night. As you can see, this smoke coming out of the planes was just, because it was quite cool that evening, and the clouds just, that smoke just kept together and created this awesome photo. Again, some interaction between these two planes. I like this one. We still can see the pilot between the blades. Also, this helicopter lighted evening with a nice soft light on the helicopter. And again, also just before, I think that was the one show that I went to. Unexpected, this plane just came over us and just dropped a couple of flares. So always be ready. And as I showed you those earlier, those other 4 planes, you can see the difference in the clouds and the smoke. And this was more midday, where the other one was late at night. The clouds just stayed so nicely together. All right, so take what the light gives you. Normally it starts like 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock or 6 o'clock at night. As photographers, light is everything for us. The best pictures are in golden hour, but unfortunately we have to learn how to deal with difficult and challenging light conditions, because I mean you'll take pictures in the middle of the day. Some of those photos of the panel was taken in the middle of the day, so you don't have to stop at 10 o'clock and start at 4 o'clock again. So the day of the air show, be there early to choose a spot for you. Buy your tickets before the show online. Headgear is very important. Sunscreen, earplugs for the jets, folding chairs, and the chairs is not for you to sit on, it's for your equipment. Comfortable shoes, backup gear if you got. Check the weather and bring some wet weather gear, and stay hydrated. It's a long day in the sun, so make sure that you've got enough water with you. Location. That's the most important thing. As I said, be early in the morning, get your spot, see which directions the aircraft most likely will be coming from. Have a look at, see what the sun is doing. How close are you on the run from the runway? Where's the center? The center is normally where all the action happens, but you don't have to be right in the center every time. You can move away a little bit. And also very important, check for the audio speakers, because if you're in front of one of these audio speakers and you try to take pictures, it's always going to be in one of your photographs, and it will happen. It will be the best picture, and then there's a speaker in the way. So always look where the speakers are and make sure that you're not close by them. And just some important dates. This weekend is the Paris Air Show. If you would like to go. 4th of June is the Newcastle show. The 8th of July is the Aero South Africa, but I don't think that is an air show. 4th September Rand Airport show, and then the 21st and the 25th to 25th of September is the big one, the Africa Aerospace and Defense at Baie. That is an awesome show to go to. All right, that is it for me. Air shows are great, air shows are fun, and don't forget to have a good time. If there's any questions, please let me know.
Jacques, thank you so much. You've got some good pictures there. I myself went to a couple of these air shows already, and some of those action, the helicopter with the underneath the fireball. I also accidentally got one just by accident, and yeah, and your shutter speed is never right, but it's your pictures, you enjoy them, and thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's your pictures, you go there to enjoy yourself, and that's the most important thing.
Yes.
Thank you very
Right.
much. It was excellent, Jacques.
Thank you very much.
Can you just unshare your screen there, thank you. And then I can get going here with this one.
Is there
Albert and
anybody
Cap is welcome to
else?
join in.
I didn't funny. I see Vinesh has also got the same question that I've got. What's the rules about amputation of wings on photography, aviation photography? Is there rules?
Not necessarily. I would say, I mean, if there's one or two pictures that I cut off the wings, but it's, you know, if you cut off one wing and the other one is there, then I think it does create a problem. If you cut off the wings on both sides, I've got a couple of pictures that I've actually cut off the both sides of the wings and submitted to salons and got my acceptances. So you can amputate the wings, but then you have to be both sides. You know, you can't just cut on the one side because then it's sort of unbalanced.
Thanks, Jacques.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. We're going to go on to the judging now. There's not many pictures, so please join in. It's the votes are anonymous. Can you see that that one? Picture with a foot.
I can see your Excel spreadsheet, yes.
Okay, you don't want to see that one. Stop share. Now why is... Okay. Should be that one.
I say I can sien, Nick.
Okay, see that? Okay, I'm going to put up a poll question. Please vote for one of those. And I'm going to leave it on for 10 seconds. And if Tina, will you please appoint somebody to have a chat about the photo?
Can't see the poll yet. Oh, here it comes. It looks like everything else is score out of 15.
Dan, wil jy die mense vra om te kommentaar te
Hannes, sal
gee?
jy begin met hierdie ene as ons klaar hier gebou het?
Jy vra so mooi.
Okay.
Ek maak wel bang.
I'm not getting any votes.
As ons submit druk, wil hy nie beweeg nie. En ons kan al die tweede vraag ook sien, iets is fout. Maak hom net dood en dan begin jy hom weer.
2 questions. Okay.
Nick, daai tweede vraag moet nie daar wees nie.
Ja, ek weet nie wat sy vraag is in elk geval nie. Maar ek gaan hom nie weet dit nie. Ek gaan net hierdie ene wys. Is it showing at the moment?
No.
Is the score sheet showing? I'm getting votes on this one. Okay. The votes are still coming in on this one. En jy sê, jy kan nooit sien nie, Dan.
Ek sien nou maar as ek klik op submit, wil hy nie submit nie.
Het help as jy daai choice, jy moet daai choice 1 of 2 ook doen. Ek weet nie hoekom nie, maar dit is allemaal een reis op my.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay. En 1, 2. En dit. Somebody talk about it, please.
Okay. Iemand was definitief lekker by die see gewees op vakansie, en 'n waterpoeltjie gesit, my voete 'n bietjie afkoel. Dis 'n baie mooi memory foto. Ek dink nie ek gaan goed in 'n salon nie, maar dis 'n mooi foto. Die memories is daar. Dis mooi skerp, is duidelik. Ek hou van daai reflection in die water waar dit so 'n bietjie distort. So my is dit 'n baie mooi foto soos hy is.
Nice. Okay. Dan gaan ek kort. Wat gaan hier in? Kan jy haar naam sien hoor?
Ja,
Okay, ek kan dit nie sien nie, want my
Ons kan hom sien, ja.
scorebar is dan in die pad.
Okay, so dit was 'n 10 vir
Okay.
Karen.
Ja, 10 vir Karen. Goed, dis die volgende een. Rooi posbus. Gaan nou die pal uitsit. Die ding is daar. Die panning werk lekker nie. Ziet sien af nie. Oh. Okay. Goed. Kan jy Paul sien?
Ons kan hom sien, ja.
Reg, is die rooi posbus.
Ek dink jy die verkeerde
Pieter, kan
Paul
jy vir
daar.
ons asseblief net beoordeel?
Kan nie wees nie, Tina.
Daai tweede vraag moenie daaronder wees nie.
Ek weet. Ek het vanmiddag die ding opgestel, maar hy behoort nie die ding so te beïnvloed.
Kies maar net een van die twee daaronder, maak nie saak nie, en dan sal hy werk.
Okay, wie gaan praat oor die ene?
Is dit ek?
Ja.
Okay, dink is 'n heel mooi foto. Ek dink hy's effens oorbelig. As mens die beligting gaan afbring, gaan hierdie rooi baie beter uitkom en seker meer natuurlik wees. Hy's bietjie lig vir my, net so 'n stop en 'n half laer, en die rooi sal die regte kleur wees. Ek weet nie of mense hom aan die linkerkant bietjie kan afkrop, daai stuk muur daarbo, net waar die baksteenmuur ophou, net miskien daar afkrop. Ek weet nie, dis maar wat ek dink, maar definitief hy's bietjie oorbelig, maar so baie goeie poging.
Okay. Soos 10. Volgende een.
Ek wil net vir Karen sê, kan jy daai posbus herken?
Ek ken hom, ja. Ek ken hom.
Our company car by. Okay, kyk so lank bietjie na die ene. Iemand kommentaar lewer.
nie skoor gesien van die ander een nie.
Ekskuus nog? Dit was 10.
Ons het nog nie skoor gesien van die rooi posbus nie.
10.
Ag Karen, kan jy vir ons sommer hier op judge asseblief?
Waar is hy?
Marisa, ek weet nie hoe het julle goed gewerk nie. Dit is 'n baie mooi foto hierdie. Dit lyk baie interessant. Dit lyk soos 'n dorpie wat 'n mens graag wil besoek. Mens kan sien dit is in 'n ander land. Sulke mooi bootjies. Mens wonder wat doen hierdie mense? Gaan hulle visvang of wat doen hulle met hierdie bootjies? Maak hulle 'n lewe daar uit of is dit sommer vir wat? Hoekom is die bootjies daar? En die mooi gekleurde huisies met die rooi dakke en dan die groen en geel huisies. Dit is baie kleurvol. Die groot kerk daar, wat daar heel bo op die punt van die berg is. Dit is 'n baie goeie, mooi foto met die weerspieëling. Ek sit daar baie van die foto.
En die een. Okay, Diane. Dis 11. Goed, die volgende een is...
Ek het nie gesê nie, daar sê. Dankie.
Okay. Volgende ene is Nathan. Okay, kommentaar.
Ag Judy, sal jy vir ons kommentaar lewer hier?
Ek kan, daar sien ek nou, ek kon nou nie die foto sien nie, maar ek sien hom nou. Ek kan altyd 'n knop op my maag as hulle vir my vra om kommentaar te lewer. Dit voel vir my of ek nie die regte ou is nie. Maar ek hou baie van hierdie beligting op hierdie ou se gesig. Ek love black and white fotos. Is 'n baie skerp foto. Sy oë is mooi in fokus. Dis tog maar wat belangrik is met portrets. Ek weet nie wat sou ek verander het aan hierdie foto nie. Ek dink is 'n baie mooi foto. Well done. Ek sien nie die skors nie.
Kom hy.
Ja.
11 vir Pieter.
Ja, maar ek het tog daar het ek nog nie geskoor nie. Hier kom myne nou eers op.
Nee, sorry, Pieter, maar ek is supposed to om net die ding vir 10 sekondes oop te los. Jammer, ja. Ek sien hier kom er nog 'n paar in. Ek het net gekyk.
Ja, myne...
Ek sal dit bylastig hou, moenie worry nie.
Ja, myne het laat ingekom. Ek het nie gesien.
Sal dit net bylas.
Miskien moet jy net tel en sien hoeveel mense het gestem. Dat mense het net...
Ek is besig met dit. Dankie vir al die raad. Okay, dit maak nie 'n verskil nie, bly op 11. Okay. Volgende is Betty's Baie pin cushions.
Potjie, as jy vir ons kan beoordeel asseblief?
Ek maak so vir jou daarin.
Dis 'n interessante foto. Ek dink dis vir my 'n baie moeilike foto om te oordeel want behalwe dit 'n baie mooi foto is, hou ek en hy's skerp. Weet ek nie wat se negatiewe kommentaar kan ek hom gee nie. Nie negatief nie, maar wat kan verbeter op hierdie een? Hy het van voor na agter, hy het diepte in hom. En die geel is mooi helder, en hy is mooi skerp. En ek hou van die wit, wat sal mens nou sê, die wit gedeelte boop, wat seker wys dat dit is 'n blom wat nou net oopgegaan het. Want as jy kyk in die agtergrond is daai witte daar wat nog nie oop is nie, en so dis waar hierdie wit binne in die geel blom vandaan kom. Ek dink dis 'n baie goeie poging, maar dis al wat ek op die oomblik van hom kan sê. Dankie.
Ja, oké. Net kyk hoe die average. Dis my foto en dis 11. Volgende een is kringe en patrone. Iemand vir kommentaar?
Wil jy vir ons gee?
Sjoe, wat 'n moeilike opdrag. Alles is vir my mooi skerp. Die foto vertoon baie mooi met die eerste wagopslag. Die sirkels is vir my baie mooi en daar is regtig nie veel meer wat ek kan sê nie. Dit is 'n baie mooi foto, dankie.
Okay. Okay, soos Michael, 11, okay, 11. Die volgende een is run outside Vliegtuigfotografie.
Ek weet jy is 'n kuiergas, maar wil jy 'n bietjie beoordeel vanaand vir ons? Wat dink jy van hierdie foto?
Dankie. Dit is 'n baie mooi foto. Die boom vir my is ook trek vir my die aandag en dan beweeg jy af na die huis toe. Mooi diepte. Ek dink dit is 'n baie mooi foto. Die lig dink ek net laat dit 'n bietjie in die steek. Maar verder ek dink dit is 'n baie mooi foto. Ja, en dit is mooi skerp.
Dankie.
So 11. Hannes. Volgende een is waiting for my date.
Jan Helberg, wil jy vir ons kommentaar liewer as jy wil? Anders kan jy maar net sê skip.
Goed, ek sal probeer. Dit is 'n baie mooi foto. Vir my wat net bietjie pla is asof ek weet nie, dit kan nou die beeld wees, maar asof die gesig nie 100% skerp is nie. En dan, dit is nou seker maar die effek wat die outeurbe gehad het, maar dit pla my so 'n bietjie dat alles oorleen. Dit lyk amper asof dit wil omval. Maar andersins is dit vir my baie mooi foto.
Hierdie insit en is en doe het seker maak 10 is Trevor Borchers. Goed, die volgende een is Cutlery.
Cynthia, I don't know if you want to say anything about this photo. Otherwise, you can just say skip.
Sy het al gaan koffie maak.
Dalk is daar elektrisiteit af. Gerard, wil jy iets sê oor hierdie foto?
Ons kon nie die naam hoor nie.
Cutlery.
Ek het gery.
Ek sal probeer, nog gee julle vir my weer die moeilikste een om te beoordeel. Ek weet regtig nie, ek sukkel met die foto, ek het lank gekyk en weet ek nie waar is die Cutlery en toe het ek nou uiteindelik begin sin maak. So hy was nie vir my op met 'n oogopslag duidelik wat die outeur vir ons wou wys nie, maar nadat ek hom nou begin verstaan, is hy vir my basies eintlik net, ek dink net oorheersend te veel in terme van die refleksie en die geel wat hier deurkom en ek persoonlik sukkel 'n bietjie met die foto. So vir my 'n moeilike een om te oordeel en is die gevoel ook dat as mens die outeur dalk 'n bietjie na die onderkant toe begin beweeg het, laat mense dan wel kan sien dat hier 'n Cutlery punt is, dat jy die onderwerp duideliker kan herken, dan dink ek sou dit vir my beter gewerk het. Maar vir my moeilik om te kan sê hoe kan mens regtig verbeter verder aan hierdie foto.
Dankie, Gerard.
Goed, dis 10 vir Gerard. Lonely Leaf.
Ek sal maar praat. Ek hou van die swart agtergrond, die herskeer, die oranje brein, die patroon van die blaar wat so in 'n handvorm is 'n baie oulike idee. Ek kan nie verbeter op hierdie foto nie. Ek dink dit is 'n baie oulike idee. Julle moet net altyd onthou, ons werk hier met Selfoon fotos. Dit is nie jou gewone kamera fotos nie. So ek dink dit is nog 'n oulike idee. Well done.
Dan dis Alpha Karen. Hibiscus 3 in 1.
Maar Helberg, wil jy kyk of jy hom kan beoordeel of anders kan jy maar net sê skip?
Ek stem saam met die dametjie, kry ook so klop op my maag, maar ja, kom ons probeer maar. Ek hou van die kleure en ek kan sien waar die 3 in 1 kom, is daai stammetjies, daai stampers. Ek dink is 'n baie mooi foto. Ja, ek weet nie waarop kan mens verbeter, want soos jy sê, dit is 'n Selfoon foto, maar baie mooi gebruik van die kleure, ja.
Baie dankie.
Okay. Dis Jana Albertina. 11 punte daar. Die volgende een is Valentine.
Ek dink Jacques, ons het jou nog nie gevra nie as jy iets wil sê oor die foto, asseblief.
Ja nee, ek hou baie van die agtergrond wat so swart is. Gewoonlik is my sulke swart agtergrond en dan beïnvloed dit die hare, maar die hare op die rug van die perd is baie mooi skerp daar. Baie interessant hoe die hare gevleg is op hierdie perd. My skerm het lyk daarom of hy redelik, my skerm is ongelukkig nie gekalibreer nie, maar hy lyk daarom redelik goed belig. En ek hou van die angle wat hy op is. So, my regtig 'n baie mooi foto. Dankie.
Dankie.
Sien. Wie zijn het? Wat het afgeswitcht? Kan allemaal mij horen?
Ja.
Hoor jou, Nick.
Oké, dis nou so gelyk die by my opkom. Oké, en Pieter Thomas 12. Mooi Pieter. Goed, die volgende is Asleep.
Lieve Fred, as jy hom vir my kan beoordeel asseblief.
Ja, dat is altijd interessant om te zien die leeuws wat so op boom klim. Ik weet nou niet hoe hoog hij is nie, maar voor een cellphone is het een lekker foto. En die belichting het hom mooi gevang. Je kan zien hij is in een lichtkool, want die rest is mooi uitgedonker achter de kant. En ik kan nou niet praten oor die skerpte nie, alhoewel ek dink hierdie regter linkerbeen van hom is dalk miskien geprosesseer op 'n manier, want hy is nie dieselfde sal ek sê die fokus van die gesig nie. Dit lyk asof hy so 'n bietjie geprosesseer is. Ek is nie seker nie, ek ken nie selfoonfoto's op die groot skerm nie, so dis maar net een kommentaar wat ek het.
Ek weet nie, die minste punte. Goed, die volgende is There's the Monk's Kel.
Nish, you can do your judging in English. But can you do this photo for us, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an interesting picture. The leading line taking us to the subject, obviously doing a hike or some sort of walk. Some of the negatives, I would think, too much sky. Maybe you can crop a little bit of the sky out to give more focus onto the foreground and the subject.
Thank you. Diane. Volgende een Ken Lake.
Okay, ons begin weer van voor af. Fani, as jy vir ons kan begin.
Okay, laat ek probeer. Okay, baie mooi foto, ek dink hy is mooi gelyk, hy sien dat hy na 'n hoek toe loop nie, ek hou van die kleure, alles is mooi skerp in fokus, die refleksie is baie mooi, dit lyk amper soos 'n spieël waarin, waar langs die bome staan, geen rippels op die water nie, die lig is, ja, ek dink daar's genoeg lig, dis nie te veel nie, ja, en ek dink, ja, dis 'n baie mooi foto hier. Ek dink nie daar's enigiets wat ook werklik kan verbeter van my kant af. Dankie.
Dankie, Fani.
En dis Hannes, volle 12.
Hoe kry ek elke keer Hannes se foto's?
Dis 'n inside
Ons moet selfs begin weer van voor af.
Okay, die foto se naam is Bird's Eye View of Ceres Farms.
Jacques, kan jy hom vir ons probeer, aangesien hy so goed is met vliegtuie?
Ja, dis nou the air-to-air photography. Ja, as jy opkom, het ek dadelik gesê, dis interessant. Dit zijn altyd hierdie mooi foto's van Botswana. Eerste keer van, is dit Ceres? Ek hou van die verskillende kleure, daar's baie lyne. Ek dink die enigste ding wat vir hom sal sterker maak is, ek hou van die kleure, hy is mooi belig, fokus is daar so. My oog bly net ongelukkig rondspring, ek soek iets om na te kyk. En ek dink al wat hom bietjie aftrek is, ek soek net daai punt van belangstelling, want daar's so baie dinge hierso wat mens na kyk. Maar iets trek jou nie na die finale ding om hom, jy weet, laat jy vaskyk aan hom nie. So dit is net al wat vir my kom. Anders is die kleur, alles is vir my fantasties. Dankie.
Dankie, Jacques.
Dis Taylor Borges is 10. Die laaste een in die open kategorie is Baie. Met de Cellfone. Maar ek baie verder van daai ding wees. Wie? Gert?
Ja.
Ja, dit is my 'n baie mooi foto, veral omdat dit met 'n selfoon geneem is. Hier op my televisie is die nie heeltemal so skerp soos wat ek sou verwag met my gewone kamera nie, maar ek dink is uitstekend gedoen met die selfoon. Maar sê.
Dit is amper klaar mense, ons gaan nou net oor tema toe.
Ja, daar's nie, daar's 'n handjie vol foto's daar. Okay, is Michael met 'n 10. En dit is die hele lot wat dit al betref. Dan gaan ons naar het thema toe. En die eerste een se naam is Bankies by die See.
This is a famous benches with a view. Bankie met 'n view. Karen lê om vir ons doen, as dit nie 'n foto is nie.
Nee, sy kan nie.
Okay, Jan Helberg.
Ja, dis nogal 'n mooi foto. Mens wens jy kon eintlik nou op een van daai bankies gesit het. Ek weet nie, dit is net vir my die hoek dat dit vir my net bietjie waar die foto geneem is bietjie uitvoel. Ek sou dalk miskien verkies het om dalk so bietjie meer na links te vat, maar andersins is vir my baie mooi foto. Ek hou van die beweging wat jy sien in die see. en ook die wolke in die agtergrond wat vir jou ook daai effens mystieke gevoel gee van die see met die natuur hier voor jou en so aan. So ja, dit laat mense hinker om daar te wees. Baie mooi foto.
Baie dankie.
Sy, dis Karensen, de 11. Volgende is Katberg golfeestyd.
Wilma Halberg, net nou het jy het so mooi beoordeel, sal jy hierdie nog vir ons doen asseblief?
Ek dink is 'n baie mooi foto. Ek sê ook, mens wil op daai bankie gaan sit en jy wil hierdie uitsig kyk. Ek hou van hierdie wolke. Ja, baie mooi foto. Hou regtig van die foto. Wat is daar? Ek moet dit verbeter, ek weet nie. Ja, ek dink is 'n mooi foto.
En
Is hierdie ook selfoonfoto's?
Alles is selfoonfoto's.
ja. Mooi daarheen, 12. 'n bankie met 'n uitsig.
Karen, kan jy hom vir ons doen asseblief?
Dit lyk baie mooi rustig in daai park. Ek wonder waarop daai bankie op uitkyk. Ek sal graag wou gesien het, maar dit lyk my na baie mooi groen gras, 'n plek waar mense wil piknik hou, net rustig wees. Ek kan sien dis in die herfs. Daar's nie meer blare in die bome nie, maar daar's skaars blare wat rond lê. Alles is klaar mooi skoon gehark. Dis 'n baie mooi foto. Ek hou baie hiervan. Dankie. Ek het nou nie gestem nie. Kan ek net gou die polling weer kry?
Kan net Karen stem hoor.
Okay.
Ek het 2 stemme daar aangekry. Iemand en iemand, maar maak nie saak nie.
Dankie Diane.
Ek het reg uit hierso. Jy sien dit nie reg uitwerk nie.
Pieter.
Diane.
So, laat ons sien. Wat is die nommer? Okay. En dis Pieter, de 11. Goed, na waters waar rus is.
Fred of Elise, as jy vir my dit sal doen.
Ja, hierdie foto laat my terugverlang na my daar toe ek op Kapagallas groot geword het. Alhoewel daar toe nie sulke paadjies en bankies was nie. Daar is nou, maar ja, die goeie foto, die kleur groen en dan die bruin klippe in die agtergrond werk mooi saam. En dan in die verte sien 'n mens die oorkantste klippe, dit is 'n tipe van 'n sloep daai. En dit is mooi uitgeblur in die verte. Hier voorlangs alles mooi skerp. Goeie foto. Dankie.
Baie dankie.
Okay. Okay, dis myne. Okay, wat het ons dan? My rustige bankie.
Ag, Johan Potgieter.
Ek sal hom vir jou doen. Ek gaan hier 'n skool gee. Interessante foto, baie mooi, skerp, hou daarvan. Jy kan sien hierdie, dis 'n tuin met 'n lekker digte bos in die agtergrond. Dalk iets wat hulle dalk kan bietjie beter gemaak het, is die outeer net in die voorgrond. Net nie die bankie se voete afgesny dalk nie en net so bietjie meer spasie gegee het. Maar dit lei ons daai gedeelte daar agter wat lyk soos 'n tonnel, dit lei jou so half in die voete in, dit trek jou aandag so toe. So ek dink is mooi. Die beligting is ook goed, dis 'n mooi rustige dag. Wat die ding geneem is, baie mooi.
Hoe kry jy die eerste deel weg, daai?
Wat van daai nihala wat daar aan die linkerkant staan? It's amazing.
My magtig.
Nee.
Waar staan hy?
Hierso.
Ja, is jammer outeer, ek het dit gemis. Maar daar staan hy pragties. Ek weet nie of hy daar ingesit is, of hy nie daar staan nie, maar dit lyk baie goed. Dis baie mooi, ek het hom gemis.
Hoor hierso. Hallo, kan jy my hoor?
Ja, Pieter.
Hoe kry mens hierdie onderste ding weg hierso, hier waar participants in mute en al daai goed op staan?
Nee, ek kry hom nie weg nie.
Jy moet weg, ek het hom al
Beweeg jou muis net weg van onder af, van behoort hy weg te gaan.
Is hy weg nou?
Nee. Want hy's voor daai een voet wat hy gesê het wat afgesny is. Dink as jy die ding kan verwyder, gaan jy sien die voet is nie afgesny nie. Maar ek kon nou nie
op my skerm is al twee pote sigbaar.
Peter, as jy chats op het, jy moet hulle oors oopmaak, dan as jy chat 'n rooi nommertjie by het, maak hom oop en dan maak jy hom weer toe en vat hom weg.
Okay,
ons gaan aan sy bewonder die herfs. Ons kyk so lank aan. Die herfsklere. Ja, eintlik.
Die beer, jou beurt.
Ja, ek wens ek kon dit geskiep het. Want hy is nou in die pad. Ja, dit is baie mooi herfstklere. Dis 'n baie mooi prentjie wat jy sien met die eerste oogopslag. Ek dink dit sou 'n bietjie beter gelyk het as die dame aan haar linkerkant of meer na links geskuif het vir haar. Maar die detail is daar, pragtige klere is 'n baie mooi foto.
Dit lyk asof sy 'n massiewe groot blare in haar hand vashou.
Ja.
Dis 'n massiewe herfsblaar daai, hoor.
Is dit?
Ja.
So ek het reg gesien. Ja.
Johan Potgieter, 10. Volgende een, sneeuwbankies.
Ja.
Wat doen? Ek hou van hierdie wit klere. Dis nie 'n foto wat jy elke dag sien nie. Ek weet nie waar het hulle hierdie foto afgeneem nie, maar dit is beautiful. Ek dink dit is regtig 'n bankie met 'n view. Nee, is baie die rooi is mooi kontras met die wit. Ja, ek hou van hierdie foto sommer baie.
En dit lyk of daar nog 1 of 2 mense is wat moet stem. 1, 2, 3, klaar. Michael Feistel. Seker in Duitsland of iets te neem. Goed, volgende een. Dankie by Kenmore Lake.
Sorry Jerry, kan jy hom vir ons doen? Ek voel so jammer vir jou.
Hy kom nog nie op my skerm nie, my rekenaar is bietjie stadig vanaand. Dis baie mooi. Nee, dis 'n baie goeie foto. Ek sou nou graag op daai bankie wou gesit het en gesien het wat's nog voor jou. Jy sien eintlik net wat's agter daai bankie. Maar die kleure is baie mooi, alles is skerp. Ek hou van hierdie foto want jy kan die volle boom sien agter die bankie. Nee, great foto. Ek hou van die lig ook wat deurkom. Dankie.
Okay. Hannes 11. En ons laaste enetjie is bench to watch golfers. Putt.
Jan Helberg, wil jy nie maar die laaste ou fotootjie vir ons judge nie?
Ja, is moeilik, ek sê nie regtig op Cellfone foto's is moeilik want 'n mens weet wat die beperkings is daarop. Baie mooi foto, die gemoed en so aan in die foto, die man wat konsentreer om die balletjie daar in die gaatjie te kry. Die enigste wat vir my bietjie afsit van die foto is net asof hy bietjie oorbelig is. Nou met Cellfone weet ek is moeilik om jou beligting reg te kry en so aan. Maar andersins dink ek is 'n baie mooi foto wat 'n storie vertel met die bankie in die voorgrond.
Goed, baie dankie. Ons het nou aan die einde van die ding gekom. Daar is nou nie nog oor nie. Ek wil nou net kyk by hierso op ons stellings. Soos gewoonlik lê almal my by die 10 rond. So op die tema ek vat nou die twee syfers na die heelgetal. Ek het nie so gesort. Okay, ons het 11 ons het 11.91 wat die hoogste is, dan ons 11.87 tweede en 11.18. So die een met die hoogste punt is Hannes Bronkhorst vir Kenmore Lake. Okay, so hy gaan ons kategorie wenner wees. En dan onder die tema is die hoogste ene 11.50 En dis daarheen vir Katberg Golfestate.
Net vir die mense die foto's uit daai 2 wenfoto's wys. As dit moontlik is.
Gou hierdie enetjie doen en dan daai dingetjie hier sit en ek het nie hierdie ene skoor gegee nie. Sien ek. Ja, hy was op 10. Okay. Was hy, so om vir julle te wys dan, daai foto was die Katberg Golfestate. En dis daai ene. Sien ons hom eintlik opgemerk na 12 toe. En by ope. Het ons daai ene se naam is wat? Ken maar like. Baie. Wat sê, daai 2 is opgemerk na 12 toe.
Veel geluk aan die wenners. Wel gedaan.
Dankie.
Ja, baie mooi julle, dankie.
Baie geluk aan julle almal.
Ja, mooi gedoen.
Goed gedoen julle. Dankie.
Okay, goed, ek gaan nou die recording maar stop.
Baie dankie Jacques vir jou tyd. Thank you to all our visitors. I hope you enjoyed it. We're still learning about photo vault. Next time it will go quicker. But thank you for visiting. En ons sal julle volgende keer weer uitnooi as julle wil. Saam Selfoon speel.
Dankie, dit was baie lekker en baie mooi om te kyk na julle foto's.
Kan ek net vir julle 'n screen share as niks syne sal ophou?
Ja, kom hy nou stop ek wil. Wat sê? Jy moet reg te wees. Wil net die recording stop.